the Where's My Mind podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Today's episode is something I never thought I would record on a podcast, but it makes a lot of sense that I'm eventually recording it because it's been years. This podcast is going to be 4 years next year. I think there's a trueness with being honest with oneself, and I think yeah, you could say yes, you can be honest with yourself, but why do you have to say it on the internet? And I truly do agree with that. But I have this podcast, and this has been what I've been thinking of this whole week. Um, I was like, I was looking through my notes on for the podcast, and there was nothing for me to like talk about that was as human and as vulnerable as this. I did not want to ever like discuss this topic on the podcast or like talk about this ever or like acknowledge it because I thought for the longest time it's not my place to acknowledge something I disagree with vehemently. Like did I truly disagreed with it for a very long time in my life because I hoped one day like it could go away and I would exist and blossom as like a regular human being, but it's been several years now, like over 16 years, and I still find myself in the same camp. So yeah, I want to talk about that. And today is going to be the first and last time I talk about this. And it's because of like recent events as well. I was never going to talk about this if I did not like speak to certain people over the last 4 weeks and conversations I had and like realizations I had. And I wondered why I kept this hush hush for this long time if everyone was going to react like this. But at the same time, I think it is the times, and like I don't think there would have been a better time for me to like tell a whole bunch of people. I have told like 8 people now, or maybe seven, and everybody's reaction was really unexpected. I was expecting a very, very, very like in my face reaction. I thought everyone was gonna like do something wrong or like hit me or like scream or like react in a certain way or like say, "Oh, I don't want to like be in contact with you anymore," or block me because I think that's like what I was thinking. I was like, if I was not the person going through this, what would I do to someone who comes to me and says X? And I thought I think I would block them. And that's why like I think I'll stop talking to them. And that's why this episode is called The Dichotomy. It's because I like struggle with it. I have struggled with this for 16 years. I found out when I was 7, and now it's like a thought that is like always at the back of my mind. Not at the back of my mind obviously, but like it's just there and I don't know how to like explain it, but I'm gonna try as much as possible to like be free and like tell you every single thing and like pour out myself and like tell you what I want you to know and like what you should know and how it feels to exist in this form and the fact that existing in this form makes you susceptible to like criticism. And I want to be able to like humanize like this form because I think a lot of people view like existing like this to be like a choice and not act of simply being. I always thought it was like a choice and I still think it is a choice. Like it's a choice to get married, it's a choice to have kids, it's a choice to do a lot of things in this life. So I'm not saying like this topic I'm talking about today is not like something I had to like intentionally choose, but I think my other options were ultimate solitude or like ultimate aloneness or a life filled with like lies. And I could not continue lying to like people because I felt every single relationship, platonic relationship I had like fostered in the last several years of my life was like rooted in like hatred, not hatred, but like was rooted in lies and like deceit. And I did not want to continue like lying to future friends and potential colleagues or acquaintances. I wanted to be a willing participant of my life and not like fear that I'm doing something that would make the viewer or you think otherwise. I recorded an episode last year called Dyslexia, called I'm Dyslexic, and I thought for the longest time I was never going to like announce my dyslexia diagnosis to anybody because I thought it's not important for anybody to know. But I thought when I recorded the episode or when I was thinking of recording the episode, I thought, oh, it's like it's something fun. Like I can not automatically, but I can ultimately like say the word because it's even in the episode I really did not say the word because I was like really afraid of like that classification. And then I recorded an episode, and then I was like, oh, like I'm never gonna record an episode like this. I'm the one I'm recording today because I was like, I would never use that word on my podcast. I would never say that word on my podcast. That word is the most annoying word on the planet. I would never say that word. That word is truly not my favorite word. It's maybe my least favorite word for the longest time. And I was like, I can't see myself ever titling an episode that word, not dyslexia, the word that I'm gonna say in this episode that is kind of making me uncomfortable. And I was like, I don't think I would ever like record an episode with that word, with the word I'm gonna say very soon on it, because I think I know the way I want to be perceived by the public and by people, and I know like that is not what I want like a characteristics of mine to be. So when I was like working on this episode and wanted to like talk about this on the pod today, I was thinking of like the way I express my thoughts on the podcast. And I was like, it's very nonchalant and I could put like at first I was gonna do LGBT test. I swear that's what I was gonna title it. And I was like, that's way too on the nose. And then I was going to like title gay question mark. Like that was gonna be a title. And I was like, I said I was never gonna use that word on the podcast. So like as a title on the podcast. So I was like, that's 100% not going on. And then I was like thinking of what could go on the podcast. And then I said, I feel like there is a dichotomy with my unfortunate like diagnosis or prognosis with SSA my and my choice to be Christian because I felt and I still do feel it's so it I think I feel it's two different worlds. It like it can never collide. Like it's two different like existence. Like it's not it does not exist in the same plane. I could never see myself fully being a human being or like myself fully being like in like relations with people. I felt there's a big gap with this faith system and with this other thing. I told a lot of people this like holiday period, but I had told like my pastor um in October, I think. Yeah. I told my pastor in October about my the problem I suffer with, which is SSA. And his solution was for me like I never wanted a solution. I was really struggling the whole of last year with like my space in like Christianity. I really like thought I really I think I'm being like really honest. I really hated religion for like a very serious like in a very serious way because I thought um I would be able to cure this eventually. I thought there'll be a switch that I like these prayers that I've been praying for like years, like will finally be answered. Like become a normal person. But it never really happened. I was like really disappointed for like a very long time. The whole of last year I wanted to end my life in a very serious way. Like no, I didn't want to like, kill myself. I just wanted my life to end so I never had to confront this issue or like ever talk or confirm or deny this issue to anyone, even if you thought I was. I didn't want to like give anyone the light, like the satisfaction of like what they thought being right. I wanted like I wanted to be gone, so like there is nothing for anyone to like prod or like nothing for anyone to like want to know about because it's over. Like I'm not here anymore. But I am alive and I'm like glad to be alive. I told my pastor about it and he was like, oh, that he knows like this woman who like also suffered from SSA and she's married with her kids now. And I was like, oh yeah, I would never want to do that. I don't think I would ever want to put anybody in that situation or put anybody in that like headspace of thinking I and the person are in like a relationship, but I don't find that person to be attractive. I could love the person. I think there is something about attraction that like we feel in a very different way from every other emotion. I so when I told my pastor and he said I was like I want to tell you my solution that I came up with myself. I This was what I told my pastor. I chose a life of solitude and a life that I could remain alone for the rest of my forever because I never wanted to put anybody in a situation or make anybody feel like they had to exist with me and I never wanted to be in space or like be in relationships, platonic relationships with people because I felt like it would get to a point where we have to like talk about topics that I had drawn a line on, like relationships, and I never wanted to talk about those topics with people. I got into a few platonic relationships where the conversations like veered into that territory and I successfully got out of there because I was never gonna talk about that with another person because I had never like accepted it because I thought for a fact that something big was gonna like something had to change and or I can't stay alone for the rest of my life. But I was never gonna put anyone else in this like predicament because I think it's unfair to like put someone else in your problems. I truly believe that. I think it's selfish to put someone else in your problems. I know people like to say like they want to be a shoulder you cry on, but I found that I maybe I'm just a horrible person, but I found that I don't want to be a shoulder a lot of people cry on. I have struggled with like making relationships and making friendships with people because I was never willing to like go deep with a lot of things I have struggled with, from like dyslexia to like my parents' issues or to like this grave issue, because I thought if someone, or if I were like a normal person, I would block myself. I will literally block. If you came to me and I was a normal person and you were like, I have SSA, I'll be like, oh, I'll pray for you. Then I'll block you. Like, not block you, but like not really like respond to you or talk to you. So I was like, I think every single person is going to react that way. So I was like, okay, I've told my pastor, I want to go tell somebody else. And this is one of my aunties that she, like 2 years prior, had said, where is your girlfriend? I was like, I'm celibate. And then she was like, or do you like boys? And I was like, never. God forbid. I'm Christian. That was the line I said. And, and then I had a social media. Before I tell you what I said to my auntie, let me just like tell you that timeline. And then I had a social media platform on TikTok, and I had like followers then. And then I was posting, and people used to comment like the most annoying word on the planet that I hate so much, the G word. And I hated it so much that I that played the biggest factor of me deleting that social media platform, because, or like that like social media profile, because I was like, I do not have the wherewithal to like give these people brain space, because I was afraid that every single thing I was doing was like falling short, and like I was not looking macho or masculine enough for the public, and like people can like tell from like my mannerisms. I am a little bit, I'm not saying the word right now, and I'm not calling myself that word, sorry. Um so I really like struggled with that, and then I was like on this website called Amigo like in like 21, 22, and I was talking on Amigo with like random people, and it got to this girl. I can never forget her. And like I think she's going to be in my head for the rest of my life, or maybe now she's going to be on this podcast because I finally told you. And she was, we were talking, and then she said, "Be who." She was singing that song. I was like, yeah, she was singing that song, and I was like, no, I'm not. I'm Christian. She was like, you're delusional. She was like, be who you are. It was like, then I unfollowed. Like I have not gone on the Omegle since then. It was a Friday. I was walking to my auntie's house, and in my head I was like, when I tell my auntie this, she's going to be like, "Oh, get out of my house now." I said, "Stand up and get yourself out of my heels," because that's how she talks. And I was like, okay, that's what's gonna happen. I'm like ready for it. I've told my pastor like I'm ready to like start telling people slowly. Then I told her, and then she was like, "You and X, y'all are gay as day." Like I was like, I really, I really can't. I really can't. When she said it, I started laughing. Then I was like, "What did you say?" And then she was like, she said it again. She's like, "You and X." I'm not gonna say the person's name, obviously. Y'all are as day. And I was like, "Okay, okay, okay, okay." And I was like, "Oh, I did not expect this from me." She was like, "Shut up." Then she was then we are just talking about other stuff that I'm not gonna talk about in here. And then she was like really open, and like like normal about it. And then the next day came to her house. She was like normal about it. I was like, okay, now that I told her, she's gonna like act differently, and I know everybody's gonna start acting differently, or everybody's gonna start talking to me like slowly, like the way I thought if anybody were to like tell me like a bad thing that they do, or like a bad thing, or what they like. For example, if you told me, if I was like a normal person and you told me, I would slowly stop talking to you, and I thought that was what she was gonna do. But like the relationship we had just became more human and like more solid, and the fact that there was no like this back and forth or like lies anymore, and I just felt free for like the first 3 months, and then like the last 3 months of the year, because like two people knew already, like my pastor and my auntie, and it was time to start telling people. Or was it time to start telling people? I don't know. I just started telling people. So I told um someone, and the person was like, "Oh, that's cool." And then I told my sister, and then she was like, "Oh yeah, I could always tell from the beginning." So I was like, "What the is wrong with this person?" And then I told somebody else, and then I told my auntie, another auntie, and then she was like, "You are not. I know you are not. We are going to pray it away." And that was the response I was looking for all along. Like someone, someone to say, for someone to say, "I know you're not. We are going to pray it away." And now I'm part of like an altar. It's called the Anointed Altar. And because she struggled with like having kids for like years. And after the Anointed Altar, she has kids now. So when I told her, she was like, "You're going to join that altar, and we are going to give a testimony that God is good and you're cured from this grave illness." And then I told my uncle, and then he was like, my grandma used to be a witch doctor, like a black magicer. T that T is crazy, y'all. That my grandma used to be like a black magicer, or like used to be into like black magic, and that's where the demons are seeping into my veins. That my grandma put this on me. That I need like deliverance. Then I was like, yes, I do need deliverance, because that was like what I expected every single person I told to like say. And then I told my friend, and my friend was like, my friend was like I was shocked. Like, I'm not joking. I was so shocked. I expected every single person I told to like tell me to kill myself, or like tell me to stop talking to them, or like block me. And I know when I post this on my personal Instagram story, I am going to delete Instagram for like a week, because I don't want to know what happens. I hope. Okay, this is like to the people I follow on Instagram. I feel if you can see this video and you follow me on Instagram and now you know, please block me. I don't want to have conversations on the DMs. Okay, I don't think I'm that important that anybody's gonna like conversate with me on the DMs, but yeah, I think if I like I struggle with like talking about things like this, because I just feel it's like very weird to like talk about. And I like like fought with like I wrestled with the like duality and like the dichotomy of like holding up this faith and like suffering with this like graves grave illness. I think ultimately I did not want to continue like existing, or like continue pulling myself up every single time I felt down, and feel the weight of lies, or like have to put on like 20 different masks before I talk to somebody, or like put on like the clown mask, so people know it's not like what I'm saying is that I'm serious. I'm just a jokester. I'm just a prankster. I want to talk about like people who like suffer from SSA. If you don't know what SSA, I've been saying this whole time on this podcast episode. It stands for It stands for same sex attraction. Hmm. I hate having this disease. I really don't know what to say. I'm so sad. I'm so scared of like what this episode is gonna be, but I hope it's like something people can like find and like relate to. Um, but when I wanted to be like viewed as like the most masculine person on the planet, and I saw that not a lot of people saw me that way, I felt really distraught, and I felt, oh, but I'm not like ultra feminine. And then I listened to my voice for the first time on the podcast, like the very first episode, and I was like, my name is literally Clinton. You're so annoying. And I like la boo boo. And that's how I like thought I was like talking for like the longest time. And then the next few episodes I like made my voice like this. I was like, oh my god. Um I think there is like the response I've gotten so far has been really shocking, because I thought everyone was going to be very abrasive and like very harsh, and everybody has like reacted with like kindness and like understanding and like love, and I'm so annoyed and like frustrated, because would this have been like the reaction I'd have gotten like years ago if I just told people, I told my pastor, um aside from like my uncle saying like my grandma was like a witch and I need deliverance because I am a child from like the underworld. That was like the only like negative reaction I got. Aside from that, like every other person's reaction was like positive. And then I told one of my auntie, and then she said, is this the life I want to choose? And then the line that I had wrestled with for my whole entire existence, it was, I wish I could pick. Like nobody can pick this. I wish I could pick. And she was like, she always hoped I would like like post a video with like a woman and like her girlfriend. And I was like, I would never in my entire life want to put anybody in that situation, because I feel if you're like in a relationship with someone and you can feel that that person does not love you, or that person is not attracted to you, there's nothing on the planet you can do, or like no way you can convince yourself enough to believe that that relationship is real. In at the back of your mind, you will always know that that relationship and what you guys are sharing is like a false reality. And I was like, I would never want to put anybody in that situation, because I think to be in love is to like truly fully exist in yourself. And like if I'm not attracted to women, or yeah, women, I would not want to put any woman in that situation. I've heard horror stories, I've read horror stories of like women talking about the fact that, and again, before I continue, this episode is has a sequel. If you want to listen to a sexual escapade, it's for members only on Spotify. But because the reason why I said that is because like I had like seen like multiple people who were like 40, 50, and like they had wives at home, and I was like, I really, and then I was like really young, but now I would never do that. But I was like, there is this, I like, if I could pick, I would never pick that. I would always pick like the normal. Like I really like my whole life I've just wanted to be like every other normal Joe. But unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I'm not. No, it's unfortunate, because I really wanted to be normal, I swear. Um, but yeah, I think it's really hard for other people to understand. And I was also saying this, I was like, I would have never been able to understand this unless I was like the one, unless I'm the one going through this. Unless you go through this, you would never understand this. I read a book this week. It's called The Room Above a Shop, and there's this line in this book, and I'm going to read it to you. And when I read, like, I've read a lot of like books that when they were like speaking, I was like, I can relate to this, like in a very serious way, in a very deep way, in a very spiritual way. I have like thought this thought before. It's like listening to, like reading this passage was like listening to an Emma Chamberlain vlog. Like I could feel myself experiencing this, and I know I had thought this way before. Like I had thought this way before. I had like experienced exactly the same feeling, and like hoped that there was like a secret that I was like not exposed to yet. Like there was something I could like possibly like refer to, or like a book, or like a social media platform I could like follow to like know the right way to like exist. And this is the line. That's where he lands all the things that he needed to hide. If he got the wrong ear pierced, if he touched a boy's hair, if he had fingernails, if he looked at his fingernails the wrong way, if he didn't smoke or didn't smoke a certain way, if he threw funny, ran funny, caught funny, if he said a word differently, dressed differently, wore the watch in the wrong wrist, if he cried. My whole life, I on this podcast I've spoken multiple times that I've wanted to like know like the master cure to like act in the most masculine way. And I released an episode last year called The Infeminate Male. It was so it's so funny looking back. Oh my god, I love this podcast so much. Sometimes I'm like, oh my god, if I did not start this podcast in 23, I would have killed myself, because I think like every single thought I have go like if you go back to, if you listen from like this episode to like the first episode, it tunnel visions. Like it feels like you are experiencing like me. The line, you can never map your life looking forward. Like you can never know what's going to happen in the future, but you can always map your life looking backwards. And I think I would have never gotten to this point if I never spoke about my dyslexia, and I've never spoken about my dyslexia if I never spoke about several episodes in 24, and I would have never spoken about any of these topics if I never started this podcast in 23. So yeah, and I've really changed from like the person who started this podcast. I still like struggle with like fully accepting myself, because I think I only accepted myself like like less than a year ago, like November last year. That's when I like fully accepted it as well. And that's when, after I told my auntie, then that's when I started telling people. But I had like accepted like the diagnosis. I accepted the diagnosis that I am gonna suffer with this for the rest of my life. And then I told my pastor. But before I accepted the diagnosis, I did not want to like infect people, because in my head I was like, if anyone is in close contact with me or like touches me, I hated touching people, because I was like, if anybody touched me, like the demon or like this will like seep into their veins. I don't want anyone to like ever go through this. I never like maintained any relationships outside of professional spaces like a church, school, or work. Like I would never like text someone outside work. Only one person I've like texted outside work, but like, or like build a relationship outside certain spaces. I kept every single relationship I had under wraps. Like every relationship was like meticulous. I did not want anybody from my church, for example, to like think I was like hitting on them, or like I liked them. Truly, I'm not like from like the hundreds of people I've met in my entire life, I've only like liked four from the hundreds, maybe five. But um, yeah, I don't like people that much. I don't hate people as well, but I was like, yeah, I think I feared, and maybe it's gonna happen, but I feared that once I confirmed this, people, and I know it's gonna happen. Like I can't like control every single person. Not every single person is gonna be lovey dovey. Like every single person I told. Like some people are just better than other people, and it's okay. But like I thought, um, if I confirm this, then I will lose friendships, and if I lose friendships, or I never had friends, and that's the sad part. Like that's the sad part. I did not have any friends in like this whole situation. I had people I wanted to leech off of, like in a way. Like I wanted to be friends with Christians because I believed if I was like friends with Christians, then I could never be influenced by the demonic people who are gay people. I'm joking now, but then I truly believed that if I can like keep a relationship with like a Christian, or like keep a relationship with like people I feel are like holy, then I would not like ever become a gay person. How did that work out for me? Only on members only, because I'm not talking about anything on here. It's going to be vague to the last second. Like y'all keep acting like y'all don't listen to the West Wing podcast. Like literally, y'all. You're so annoying. Literally, y'all keep acting like you don't listen to the West Wing podcast. Imagine I start talking like that like tomorrow. That would be insane. Um, I don't know what else I want to talk about. I was talking to someone about this, and the person told me like we are humans outside of who we like. I still can't say the word. Like I still feel shame whenever I have to say that word because I hate that word. I hate that word. But I hate any curse words. But the person was like, "We're still humans outside of who we f," and I was like, "That's true. I am still the boy who likes to read books and who likes to talk about topics on my podcast and who likes to like be authentic. And I know this episode is like, I think if you thought I was authentic before, this episode is ultra authentic because because I just told you every single thing like in a very serious way. Um my goal was before I was like I'm gonna remain alone for the rest of my life, and I would not like get into a relationship with anybody because I don't want to put anybody in that situation. I don't want anybody to go to jail, like not jail but like hell because of me. But in recent like months, like in the last 2 months, I have been like considering a vanilla marriage. Yeah. I want one child, so we'll do that. I really don't know how that's gonna happen. But if you want a vanilla marriage, like hit my line, hit my line, hit my line, like so I can tell some family members because I've not told all of my family members that I have a girlfriend and we're getting married next week, and then you can f on whoever you want to. Don't worry, I will never touch you. And we can have good banter, and like the person should be my friend because I'm not going to like marry somebody just for fun. Like I should want to like spend the rest of my life with you in like a very serious way because I love women. I wish like I was attracted to women because if I was, oh my god, y'all don't want to know what would happen. If I was like attracted to women, I would be a father of 300 kids by now. Um, but I'm not, and I'm attracted to the most annoying human beings on the planet. Men. And I'm counting myself as one of the most annoying people on the planet. I'm a misandrist. If you do not know, I believe in the power of women because I've been raised by women my whole life. Maybe that's why I turned out. No, that's why I'm not turned out gay. Like, if you want to know why, it's on the members only platform, on Spotify, members only. Um, no, I can't blame those people anymore for like what they did because I think it was, I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe if they never did it, maybe I would have been normal. But it has happened, and we can't turn back time. Um, yeah. I wish I had like this. I wish I had something to say to like humanize people who are like gay or people who suffer from like homosexuality or suffer from SSA. I wish I had something to tell you and a story to like a story to like make you understand. But I don't think I truly believe unless you have experienced it, you like it's exactly the same as like being black or like being um white or like being whatever. I think unless you're like experience it for yourself, like putting yourself in other people's shoes is like very difficult, especially if you like are raised if you're raised by a very puritanical um religion as Christianity when they're all sexual deviants. You're so but it's true. It's true. Yeah. Like, what did I lie? Did I lie? Did I fucking lie? Yeah. And I saw a video that made me laugh. The guy, the pastor prayed for him, and he's not gay no more. And I wish when me and my auntie 3 years from now, after because her prayers for fertility was 3 years later, and she had her kids. I wish because it's just been 3 months that we've been doing the prayer for her. After 2 years and 9 months, I will come here and testify to the goodness of God and tell y'all I ain't gay no more. I'm not gay no more. I am delivered. I don't like men no more. I said I like women. Women. I said women. I'm not gay. I would not date a man. I would not carry a purse. I would not put on makeup. I will love a woman. Now listen, what yo, hey, we don't just preach condemnation. We preach reconciliation. In a very serious way. I will literally do that. Put me in your prayers. Add me to your prayer list, brothers and sisters. Wait. Add me to your prayer list. I really need the prayer. There's a line in my EP called "Oh baby, please respond to hey." And yeah, I just want to tell you, I wish I could like see you listening to this episode, but I will literally melt. And now I can like fully be myself and like or at least like talk on the Wisdom Main podcast and like reference stuff. And I know I did an episode last year where I like did this, but I finally said it out loud. Um yeah. I fear that I might be one of the people who would have been very homophobic if I was not a homo. Yeah, I think I would have. I think I'm still homophobic and I'm like a gay person. But no, I don't think I am. I don't think I care as much as like other people do. I want to tell like if you're like younger and like you're seeing this, I really don't know what to say to you. I really don't know what to say to you. What you have to do is exist. I think true existence is all we can simply do on the planet. And I know, and that's like where I find the problem, like the line in Christianity where they say, the earth is just temporary. You will go to heaven and enjoy heaven Okay, now I've struggled with this, so let's talk about this. I want you, if you truly believe that, to never, like I mean never, have a relationship. Like, do what I've done for the last 50 years of my life. Stay alone. It's like, I think to be alone all of the time by yourself is the hardest thing you can possibly do. I've like done it for the past several, for like years now, and now like from the last 3 months introducing myself back to the human beings, like talking to people, and like if something happens, like gossiping, even like the act of gossiping, oh my god, talking shit about someone else, like the act of doing that I missed for like years on years. I feel there's nothing like being a human being. Like it's just really crucial for you to exist with other people, and I think it's one of like the most important things for us to remember, because if you want someone to like, oh, or like there was a pastor I saw that said if you're like a gay person, like you should kill yourself.
They should be lined up against the wall and shot in the back of the head.
I don't have any advice for homosexuals except to put a bullet in your own head.
I've seen it in the Bible. It clearly states that homosexuality is wrong.
Yeah, you know, that's what he literally said. I was like, okay, um yeah, I would recommend you never get into a relationship with a man, with a woman, because I know most homophobic people are men, so I'm like making an assumption. But if you're a woman, never have a relationship with anybody. Stay alone, stay alone, stay alone, stay alone, stay alone. Let's see if you can do it. I've done it for years now. Let's see if you can do it for like even 3 years. And I've done it for like 10 times that. No, okay, I'm not 30. Right? Wait, why can I be 52 and I can't be 30? I am 52. So, whatever. But it's a never ending topic. At first, when I recorded, like when I started this and when I did like the demo, I said I would only want to talk about this once. But I think now that you know, it's easier to like talk about it. But obviously, I'm not gonna like title an episode. I almost titled an episode with my sister, and we almost did. Son and thought daughter. I know you know you're that person, because I was never gonna say that out loud. I almost titled the episode that. But yeah, I really struggle with like my space in religion in this current climate of like hatred and diversity, not diversity, division, and the fact that y'all are the right ones, and the people who do different or believe different or see different are wrong. I saw a video, and I'm gonna add the video on here, and the guy was saying like in Christianity, like homosexuality and like, and in Christianity homosexuality is like one huge sin, and the reason why a lot of people don't commit that sin is because it's not something you ever experience. But you cheat, you lie, you steal. Why lie? Why lie? And then in Islam, homosexuality and like eating pork is like one of like their big not to do's, and it's really easy to like avoid both because it's not something like you were like raised, or like it's not something you needed to do. And I'm not like slamming my pastor, because my pastor is like a really good person, and the topic, like what he said about it, I was the one who chose loneliness, because he was like I should try as much as possible to like surround myself with friends and family and like people, because he noticed that I tend to stray on the lonely side a lot, and I did that because I thought I did not want to like infect or like affect or respond to like anything from like other people, because I think when you build relationships with people, there's a point where you have to fully be yourself and like fully be authentic. And I think real relationships are relationships where you are fully yourself with another individual. And I didn't want to like lie to y'all. I didn't want to like be lying to my two friends and saying I don't have any friends right now, but I didn't want to like lie to people and like say, oh yeah, her like there was a person at my church and we're talking about lust, and the person was like telling me about their struggle with lust once, and I was like, I can't talk to this person about this topic because they will literally shoot me in the eyeball with a gun. But yeah, and now the book I read this week is A Room Above a Shop. It's about two homosexual people in the UK, I think. Yeah, it was set in the UK like in the 1980s. Yeah. I'll speak to you in a very interesting episode next week where I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And if you want to listen to the sexual escapades I've been on, if you want to listen to the sexual escapade, if you want to listen to the sexual escapades I've been on, it's on members only on Spotify. Yeah, it's only on Spotify on my members only. It's £9.99 a month, £9.99 a month. You can just pay for 1 month and like listen to every single person. Like the pastors I've done it with, like the pastors' wives I've done, like literally, like I'm a sexual deviant. Like it's so annoying. Yeah. The pastors' wives have done it. Like the fathers and the mothers. Like y'all, y'all don't know the half of it. Y'all don't know the half of it. I'm never recording that episode, so do not pay for members only because I'm not doing that. I like my privacy, and I don't like talking about like sex or like sexual stuff on any platform. I really struggle like talking about this topic on members only or on public, and I feel talking about it publicly is better, and maybe someone might be able to relate. And I hope I could humanize myself, and like I hope if you have been listening to the podcast, or if this is your first episode, you can listen to my whole podcast episodes and like see me as a human being and not just this one thing. Goodbye.